Mr. Craig.
Remember that band Mr.
Mr. Craig was the original title, right?
Mr. Jason, that's correct.
Well, Mr. Craig, I have a question for you.
Do you? I know.
I
what
need
the
you to
question
answer me a question.
And I will.
Who do we have, Mr. Craig?
Well, Mr. Jason, we have Dimitri Apostle. Appealin
Oh.
to the Ceilin. for reeling when he's dealing.
Dang!
Doesn't make any sense.
Does it need to, Mr. Craig?
Oh, let's do this.
Buckle up. It's the Insurance Dudes Podcast.
Boom!
Dimitri, how you doing, my man?
Good. How are you?
Awesome. Well, welcome to the Insurance Dudes.
Welcome to the Dids.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You look like an insurance dude yourself.
So we're going to jump into the first question, which is, what is the first concert that you ever went to? And go back.
First concert. So I'm not a big, live music going guy, but Jeremy Camp was actually the first concert I ever went to. He's a Christian singer, just does a great job, great performance. So that was the first one I ever went to.
How old were you?
I was in college, so probably 20-ish.
Your parents never dragged you to like Barney or the Wiggles or something?
No, man. I mean, my dad's from Greece, my mom's from Sweden, so like that kind of thing. That for some reason it wasn't part of what we did in our household.
That's crazy. Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Did they play a lot of ABBA?
No, they didn't actually. A lot of Greek music, no Swedish music, but it was all straight Greek all the time.
Straight Greek.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. What's do they like My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Yeah, they do actually. It's like, that is exactly what a Greek family looks like. That was actually true to form. That was pretty good.
That's awesome. My wife loves that movie.
Minus the Windex. The Windex thing, that was made up, but everything else is right.
I can't remember the Windex. What was the Windex?
It solves everything. It's
right.
Exactly. Oh, that's right. It does. It does. I have more duct tape.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Well, for folks who don't know who you are or have, why don't you tell your story? Tell us how you got into insurance, a little background.
Yeah.
Go back.
Definitely. So I'll back up all the way to college. So I went to school at Valparaiso University, which is just outside Chicago. Went there, pursued an econ degree. And then right after college, I was kind of planning on staying in the Chicagoland area. And my dad was a Farm Bureau agent for 34 years. So he's like, why don't you come home, check out insurance for the summer, see if that's something you like. And so I came home, and after 3 months, I actually fell in love with it, which is insane to think that, you fall in love with insurance. But, every day was a little bit different, dealing with high-end clientele, middle class, lower, everybody had kind of an interesting dynamic. So every day was very different for me. So I really liked that. So started off there. And then after about 3 years of doing that, I knew I had to go independent. That was going to be the right route for me. We were closing about 20 to 25%, and being a captive, that was decent. But I wanted to capture a little bit more. So looking in the independent realm, not a lot of options as far as back then. I've been doing this for 18 years. So back then, there wasn't some of the aggregators that are available today. So someone I knew bought a very small agency. I was able to get in kind of that, second year with him, and we grew that together to a fairly decent sized agency. And then I was just kind of ready for a change, man. I wanted to own my own agency. I wanted to do my own thing. I had a lot of ideas and things that were different than what the industry was doing already. So I'm like, I want to kind of stamp myself into the industry and do something. So non-compete, my wife and I hated the winters, and we're like, let's move south. So just identified 3 different markets: Dallas, Fort Worth, Raleigh, and Charlotte. I moved to Charlotte, not knowing anybody. I took my life savings and started a scratch agency just in a new place.
Crazy.
Awesome.
So what were some of those ideas that were burning through your skull that you wanted to try? And did
Yeah,
you try-
so one of the big things for me was, the insurance industry has always had what we call producers. And I just, I felt like there might be a better way to do that, to focus on people's strengths. So what I did is in my agency, it's an assembly line. So I don't have producers, none of them. So, and we're 100% referral based. So, last year, I think we wrote 4,700 policies. And the book of business. So I've been open for about 7 years. We're about $11 million book of business, 100% referral. And we run very efficiently. So everybody has a specific job. So my job is to bring the business in, find the policies. And then I have other people that do quoting. I have 2 people that all they do all day is quote new prospects. I have people that do data entry. So just kind of more of a streamlined process to focus in on, I don't want to enter stuff into AMS. I don't want to send, stuff out for signatures. I don't want to do that stuff. And that's not my strong suit anyway. So just kind of playing to people's strong suits and seeing, what that could look like if it is more efficient. So it was a trial and error, and it ended up being a pretty efficient way to run it.
That's awesome.
How much of that is automated? Or is it all people like at each touch point? Or
you mean as far as what? Like what?
Well, the assembly line.
Yeah, it's so there's some automation to it. So for instance, when a client calls in, we've got a quote worksheet, and it's all web based. So they plug it in, their information in, and I have 2 people in my office that take the info. They hit submit, and then it goes into an inbox folder that I've created. And then at the end of the day, I take all those quotes, because we run about a 24-hour turnaround on quotes. So I take all those quote sheets, and then I put it in each of my quoters' workflow. So the next morning they come in and they've got X amount of quotes to do. And I can monitor their quotes. I can see how many, Bob's working on. I can see how many, he's working on, she's working on. So I can kind of monitor the process as well.
That's really cool. How did you start that with no referrals? How do you start that with no policy?
Yeah, that was an interesting. So for the first 12 months exactly, I bought leads. And so just to gain a little traction. And then in the meantime, I was meeting with realtors and lenders. It's realtors, lenders, and clients. That's how I get all the business. So in the evenings, every night, I would go out to any kind of networking event, anyone that would, there's an opportunity for me to make a connection, basically. So, and I still do that today, but that was something I did for really hard for 12 months. I get in the office at 7, I get home at 10 every single day. And that was my life.
Crazy, man. That is crazy. How did you start building that process?
I just looked at the inefficiencies. At first I'm taking the information down, I'm writing it down. Like, there's got to be a better way. And so I'm researching things online. What is a better way? And so, I came up with the normal sheet that people have, and I'm like, there's got to be something better than that. And so every step of the way, and every aspect of my business, I'm always looking at, okay, it took us like 10 minutes to get from A to Z. Can we make that 7? Can we make it 6 without losing any quality? So I have a very analytical side to me, and that was just, it's fun to do as well. Like, I feel like it's a challenge. Like, let's see what we can do. We never know what we're capable of doing unless we really do that. I never thought I would write 120 policies a week. I remember going down to, so I'm with Brightway Insurance. I remember going down the first day to look at doing a Brightway. And I remember seeing a guy doing 40 policies a week. I'm like, that's crazy. How is he doing that? I almost thought it was impossible. But when you have people around you that are pushing you and saying, no, it's not, this is possible, you can do it. And then at that point, we're pushing each other to levels that we never thought we could get to. So it's just constantly analyzing and seeing what you can do, what you can push yourself to do.
And we see that, I see that as a common theme between everybody. You get into this business and it's like, well, how do I even sell one policy?
Right.
And then it's like, okay, I've sold a few. Now, how do we, you know what I mean? And then just constantly, and then you look back and it's like, I could have done this from the beginning. It's just, I didn't have the faith in it. Like, I didn't believe in it.
Exactly.
What would you suggest to people coming into the industry as far as normally ask this at the end, but I think this is appropriate now.
No, that's cool. I think that when you're coming into the industry, and for me, just some little battles, stories for me. I mean, right off the bat, I'll never forget this night. I met one lender. Him and I had drinks. We had a great time. He said, "You know what? There's a grand opening of one of the other branches. Why don't you come?" I'm like, "Great." So I went there, talked to like one or two people, thought I had a good connection, passed out a few cards. And at the end of the night, I had my little, disposable glass of wine. I put it in the garbage, and in the garbage, I saw my business card, and it like killed me. It was like right at the beginning, and like it was extremely hard to get anyone to talk to me. So I was, but I just kept pushing forward. I was like, that's okay. Someday that person's gonna be a client. I'll never forget that. And they are, and that whole office actually became clients, a few years later. But it's such a tough business. I always tell people, I'm like, you're going to get throat punched on a daily basis. You just have to keep getting up and keep going. I think the ones that don't succeed are the ones that just, they can't take it. And you have to have really thick skin, and you just have to have a very short-term memory.
Yeah. And be persistent. Like you just have to keep grinding, grind. People often are just get in their head. They're so concerned about what everybody else thinks. And once you let that thing go, then you can really step out. How did you move past that though? You just were like, because it crushed you, right?
So I actually had an aha moment. I share this with, I do some consulting work as well. So I always share this story because I feel like it's extremely important. It's kind of paramount to what happened with me. So when I moved, I took my family. I had 2 kids, my wife, now 15 years. And so when we moved down here about 7 years ago, she was totally supportive. So having a support around you, especially your family, like it's hard to do this on an island, right? So like having people around you, that friends and family that like believe in you is step one. And then step two, you open up a business and you're excited, you're an entrepreneur, you got your sign up on the thing, and that's all cool and great. But the honeymoon, wears off after a couple months when you're writing these checks and there's no money coming in. And I'll never forget, I was putting my son to bed one night and I was struggling. It was probably around the same time that those people were throwing my cards away. Everybody's telling me no. I put him to bed and he goes, "Daddy, why'd you do this?" And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Why did you move us away from our friends and our family and everything we know?" And this is like coming from like a 9-year-old, or 8-year-old actually. And I said, "It's going to be all good." And I get kind of like choked up about it, but so I said, "It's going to be great. We're going to be fine. It's going to be a better life for us." I go in the hallway and I cried for a half hour. And then I said, "Playtime is over. I don't care that I'm an entrepreneur. I'm in the trenches. I'm grinding it out. And if I don't embrace the grind, if I don't embrace and love every aspect of it, the good and the bad, especially the bad right now, then it's just not going to happen." So I had to have that mindset that, it was sink or swim, and I was going to do this for my family, and the grind is everything. It's the bad, it's the good, it's the ugly, it's the beautiful, it's everything, and you got to love all of it.
Yep. It's so true. It's like what people don't understand about entrepreneurship or just owning your own business or whatever, it's if you want to succeed, you have to try stuff. You're only going to succeed at a few things that you try.
Right.
So it's like the failure is inevitable on so many levels. And if you can't like that, you're not going to, that's the job. That's the job of being a business owner. So if you don't like that, don't be a business owner. And certainly don't complain about it, because that's the choice you made.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's that is a huge mind shift. And I think that a lot of times when some agents do complain, right? In the industry. I mean, things are moving. Things are moved fast, and there are a lot of changes. To be totally honest, if it wasn't for a lot of things holding the industry back, who knows where it would be? You know what I mean? Right. It would. Who knows if we, there would be so many agents. So we're lucky to have, a position at all. Some of our agencies. Right. But regardless of that, that's part of it. Is like, if you don't, like, they don't understand that it's going to change. Like these crazy failures that's the job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, to a certain degree, I don't want to say society, like if you fail, you're a failure, right? Like there's almost like it's black and white. Either you succeed or you fail. And I think that when you peel back, the layers, well, like you said, everybody fails. And I tell my kids every day, I'm like, what'd you fail at today? Failing means you tried something. And that's the only way you grow. So I think just people in general need a mindset, change. I think we just have to be okay with failing. There's nothing wrong with it. I failed, at 20 different things I've tried in the last, year that just didn't work, but I failed, I learned, and I moved in a different direction. And that's the important thing.
Yeah. Like failure is inevitable. It is. It's 100%. We do have to shift that, and it should be celebrated because it means You're trying something. And the people that don't, I mean, you see it a lot of times. You see it with a lot of elderly people. At some point, they're just done. Like, I don't even want to try to learn anything. And it's honestly sad, but then you see like an older person that does embrace that stuff, and they're like vibrant and everything.
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
It's like, I don't know at what point that we become so risk adverse. I actually, I have a little podcast, just my like daily thoughts. And that was one that I did yesterday, was on at what point, like my kids, they're sponges. They don't have that voice inside them that's like, oh, I'm going to fail if I try this. They just want to try everything.
Yeah.
They don't care about, but at what point from the kid to the adult do we get to this point where it's like, oh, okay, I'm not going to try that because if I fail, it's like, I guess it's like attached to ego or something. If I fail, people are going to think something. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. That's part of it, I'm sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing to think about.
And agents are so generous with giving out ideas and sharing, right? So there's, even if you can't get the support at home, because, like with this podcast, at home, this podcast talking about insurance dudes is off limits in the same way that at Jason's house, like she doesn't want to hear it. That's fine. I can talk about this kind of stuff with Jason or whoever. I mean, we have a tremendous amount of people that we're able to connect with and talk about, I mean, really, she doesn't want to hear about insurance either. So that's fine. Or entrepreneurship. It's this roller coaster, right? So It's funny because we're opposite. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm up and down constantly, and she's compliance.
Yeah.
Steady Eddie, so the dynamic is really fun. It's funny, but there's so many people, and we're in an age in 2020 where you can connect with anybody anywhere in the world. I mean, we're in 3 different places looking at each other like we're in the same room, and you can do this all day, every day. So it's just remarkable. So
absolutely.
Yeah. My wife she's like, how do you have a podcast with insurance? That has got to be the most boring thing on the phone.
Right.
Well, we don't talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, staff. How many staff do you have?
So Brightway Insurance, we're an aggregator that has we have a home office, renewals and service team. So in my office here in Charlotte, North Carolina, it's just, including myself, there's 7 of us. Mm-hmm. There's myself and 2 other full-time, and then I have 4 other part-time people. One that does commercial. My dad actually came out of retirement. He kind of does commercial, and he left early today to go biking, but he comes in for like half a day and does his thing. But then I have another few people that work remotely. So there's 7 that make the new business tick, and then I've got, it's economies of scale. So if I had to put a number, it's about another 7 people at the home office for accounting and service work.
It's amazing. 14 people to run $11 million. You said 11?
Yeah, just over 11.
Yeah, in 7 years.
I love that you love what you're doing and you figured out a way to like not do the mundane stuff that you don't like doing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I've eliminated, certain things over the years, but there's like the core thing that I do is, I'll call every client and review all the quotes with them. And then, well, not everybody wants to talk on the phone, but the ones that want to talk on the phone will chat. And then I bind all the policies. But, the big thing for me is like I said at the beginning, it's everything's different. And I really enjoy interacting with people and hearing their story. And so I think what's helped make me successful is like, I truly love hearing people's stuff. Like I'm talking a lot right now, but typically I'll ask questions and I love hearing the answer. I feel like a lot of people ask questions so they can tell their side of it. Like they're not really listening to the response. So I've made lifelong friends through this too. And I go into that, like my referral partners, I mean, like 85% of them, I would feel like I could go and grab a drink with, and I could call them right now and be like, let's go to the pub and have a pint, and they would do it, and that to me is success. Like, we're not only are we doing well together, but we're friends together, like let's just kind of do life as a team and just have a good time with it. And that's kind of my approach on it.
That's awesome. I was talking to another agent about he's building an independent agency, and he started building it and it started getting huge in the sense where there's so many people involved. And it's funny when we get into this or when we start a project, we don't think of the outcome. Like,
right.
This is not the lifestyle that I want. You know what I mean? So he's changed his business model to cut down on the things that he doesn't like doing.
Yeah.
Because managing that part of it, he's just like, but it's funny that we don't think about that, because honestly, one of the biggest parts of success isn't monetary, it's lifestyle, because this is what we're doing.
Yeah. And to your point, so being in the business for long enough and being a part of a traditional agency, the HR part of, someone got sick or, someone said this, or they looked at me sideways, all this stupid stuff that goes on sometimes at the office. I just didn't want to have that dynamic. I knew that going to another, independent and doing a different model, I needed that service team because I didn't want to be an HR guy. Like that just wasn't something I wanted to deal with. But one of the things that really changed my mindset on everything is my wife and I went to Jamaica before I made this move. She bought me a book, and I'd kind of been eyeing it. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I was never into self-help, Tony Robbins. To me, that stuff was just all, hocus pocus garbage. And I didn't want to waste any money on it. She bought me the 4-hour work week. And that is what like shifted my mindset, because, growing up in a fully European household, we went to Europe every summer for like a month. And I always wanted to travel. And, Tim Ferriss talks about that design lifestyle. Like, what do you really want out of your life? So I started with the end in mind when I created the agency. I'm like, I want to travel. I want to do that. I want to be in Europe for a month. I want to go on spring break. I want to do that and have that be integrated into what I do. And I got to make sure that this move is going to allow me to do that. And it has, because we do that every summer. We go to Europe for 3 to 4 weeks, and, we go to Florida, we go to this, we take a lot of vacations. So that's really an important part of my life and my kids. I like having them exposed to like different ways of doing things. The last year we went to, Spain, Portugal, Greece, back to Michigan to visit family. My son and I went to a Barcelona soccer game. Like, that's kind of stuff that you can't put a price tag on. So it's not about things for me. It's about experience. And that's another part of why I do what I do.
That's cool. So what advice would you give? There's so many agents that don't start with the end goal in mind, get into a situation where they're working 12-hour days and they get bogged down, and it's like, how do I get out of this? Right.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the best piece of advice I can tell them is, before you do anything, think about what you want out of it. Think about, are you getting a job just to pay your bills? Because you can get a job doing that anywhere. You could but is this something you are passionate about? I had one agent that I was mentoring. He made a comment to a rep one time, was like, I'm not like Dimitri. I don't love insurance. I just want to make money. And I called him up after I heard that. I'm like, dude, then you need to get out of the business. Like, this is not the right thing for you. So right. I just think that, if someone's working and grinding 12 hours a week and they hate what they do, they just need to reevaluate and do something else, or they have to change their mindset. And if they don't have that passion for people, for conversations with people, building relationships, find it. Everyone's got passion. And when I see lazy people, it's just because they haven't figured out what their passion is. So to me, it's like, if you hate what you do and you're lazy, You just need to figure out what it is that's going to wake you up in the morning where you can't sleep at night.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can, the beauty about this business is you can design your agency to wrap around what your passion is. And
Absolutely.
just like how you did it, how you've done it. Right.
Yeah.
It is remarkable. And I find it interesting that you're in there talking to the clients, closing the business, and then able to pull yourself out of it at the same time. How do you replace yourself when you're gone for a month? Because
yeah. So it's difficult, but it would, and some people will be like, oh, you work a lot, you do this and that, because I work on vacation. So I'm an early riser. So I wake up at like 7, no matter what happened the night before, if I had a couple too many beers or whatever, I'm still up. Like, it doesn't matter. So I'm up at 7, and then I'm till about 10 o'clock, and everybody gets breakfast. So I probably work still 5 hours a day while I'm on vacation. It's just much better scenery where I'm at, but and I always bring like a second monitor. I don't talk to the clients. That's the only thing there's a bit of a disconnect. So I do have an agent in my office that kind of does what I bind the policies where I'm at, but she'll call the client, review the coverages. So I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? It works, and she's amazing. She does a really nice job of explaining it. She's very knowledgeable. She came from State Farm. She's been with me a while, so she kind of fills the void while I'm gone, and I try to lighten the load while I'm on vacation with some of the paperwork stuff.
That's super cool. What a different business model. Like, that's definitely, and I love it on the independent side. I love hearing there's really a billion ways to skin that cat, and we've heard a lot of different ways, and it's cool. It's like a build your own life. Like, you can really do that. That's a really cool thing about insurance. You can build it the way you want it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some agents in our Brightway system that, like, they love cold calling. That's their thing. They'll get on the phone and just jam out like 100 calls a day or whatever. That's not my thing. And that was kind of end in mind. I don't even feel like I'm a salesman. Like, that's not even something I am. I'm just a relationship builder, and everything, like I said, is incoming. So I don't make outbound phone calls. I make 0 outbound phone calls a day about prospecting. So I provide a quote for the client. I do 1 follow-up, and if they don't want it, they don't want it. We just move on to the next one. But I feel like, every quote we send out is like, I always tell people this: I quote your house as if I'm buying that house. So this is not a bare bones policy. It's everything that you and your family are going to need. So, but again, I didn't want my life to look like, phone call, dialing, robo-dialing all day. Some people love it, and it's cool. Like, whatever people like to do, they do. But again, that wasn't what I wanted. That's why I kind of set up a different type of model.
I'm curious, what are you closing at? Like, of the people that come in and it gets quoted, what level of, closes?
Yeah, we're almost 75%.
And that's without pushing, well, because it's a referral, so it's
warm already. So it's just, I almost think all I got to do is just not screw it up.
Right. That's amazing. It's a really good setup, man. You've engineered a really good process, and it makes it easy. You actually don't need to be there.
Right? Yeah.
You should just work from the beaches in Greece.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. So what do you see within the industry that gets you excited about the future?
As far as the insurance space is concerned, you hear about self-driving cars, and that doesn't get me excited because that'll eat into our auto insurance premiums. But I don't know. Actually, the thing that I love is seeing Google try to come into our space, seeing all these big, tech companies try to come in and just replace us. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't happen, but I love it when agents like you and I come in there, we still slay it and we still kill it, even though there's all these other ways that people can have business. It's like the Geicos, they've got a call center, and they just have these, and I shouldn't call them out, but these guys sitting in a call center, and it's like, I've been doing this for 18 years. I got some great people. We're in the community. Let's support our community. And I feel like technology, at least in our world, isn't taking that away yet. And I don't know that it will. Like, I feel like, there's still this connection that people want to have with people, and I think technology is making everything more efficient so that we can accommodate their needs in a way that they expect it to be done. But then they have that sense of mind that, yeah, Dimitri lives like in my neighborhood, you know, and if I need him, I know he's there. You know, he's not just some random, you know, person that I've never seen or I have no idea what he looks like or anything.
Yeah. At the end of the day, until there's some really good artificial intelligence that can help figure out how to make the recommendations, the general public will continue to choose the wrong coverages because they just don't understand it, you know? And so it's a complex product. And I think that our challenge is helping convey the message of how complex this product is for something they can't see or touch and they don't like.
Yeah, and this is a line I use a lot of times with people. It's, you know, when we're going over coverages and they want 50, 100, I said, listen, you know, if I don't sell you this policy, my family will still eat tonight. But if I sell you 50, 100, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. And I'm going to tell you why. And so when I don't sound like a salesman, then I think it's easier for them to be like, yeah, you're right. Like, that makes sense. I had a friend of mine who he moved to North Carolina, like, I don't know, 8 years ago, and he went to State Farm. He had 30/60s. I quoted him out, never got back to me. And then he got into an accident, his wife rear-ended somebody with a Suburban. And he's like, I called my State Farm agent, and they were like, kind of like, good luck. And I'm like, when I quoted you with 100, 300, I told you why. You know what I mean? And now you're living this out. And that's not a conversation I'm ever going to have with one of my clients. So I try to kind of paint it in real terms. And the price difference, I heard Ryan, you know, a couple of days ago when I was listening, you know, it's for what, $10 extra a month or $7 extra a month, you're properly covered. And I think if you can convey that properly to people and they know that you have a passion behind you and a feeling that I care about you. And I'm not just saying this because I'm trying to upsell you. I'm saying this because I care about you.
Right.
And if you don't want that, go to Geico. It's all good. But I want to make sure that if your wife rear ends somebody, you know, you're not paying this claim out for the rest of your life.
Yep.
100%.
That's the competitive advantage too. When any sales agent's trying to sell, if you come at it from the perspective of just helping. One of our agents in our office, she just says to everybody, I'm going to help you with your insurance. She will never say quote. She won't say any of that because she doesn't want to do that. She just wants to help.
Right.
And
exactly.
Inadvertently, she's like usually one of the highest in sales.
Yeah.
Because that's the result of helping people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, even if we're home heavy, you know, we lead with a home because we work with lenders and realtors. So not, you know, we don't multi-line everything. We multi-line quite a bit, but you know, they'll say, you know what, Dimitri, you're like, you know, $100 more a month. And then I say, you know, send me your deck page. Let me just take a look at it. And so I'll look at it and I say, listen, it's not going to cost you much. You're at 50, 100, go to 100, 300, 100 at least. You should consider 250, 500, 100. But if you don't, it is what it is. But just call up Geico, tell them you want to make that change, and that's what you should do. And just stay with Geico because I can't even get close to that. So I feel like I'm pretty honest too. Like I at least say, this is what I would do if I were you. Yeah. You don't have to go to me. And in fact, I can't even get close to the rate. Call Geico, make the changes. You'll thank me later.
That's cool. So
a little nugget. Right
that
there.
Is good.
I'm writing down the minute so we can include that in the note.
What, so you don't do any marketing right now. It's just all referrals and centers of influence.
Yeah. So I'll do some events with people. We'll do, you know, mixers. We'll do, like I speak at real estate, like, you know, continuing education classes. I had 120 realtors in a room and I did a presentation PowerPoint. So yeah, it's all around just building the relationship and then helping them do whatever they're doing. So if they've got like an appreciation event, they need some money, I'll throw some money at it. And I actually tell them, like, don't even put my name on it. I don't need to be anywhere. You guys help me. I'll give you a check for X and you just do what you do with it. And it I'm just here to help you guys out.
Right. Yeah. Cause I mean, you put your name, people want their name all over the place. It doesn't do anything. Nobody's like, oh, there it is. You know, and then they look it up. It's like, come on, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
What, if you started over again from scratch and you had no centers of influence and you had none of that, no referrals, where would you throw some money at to get some people in your agency?
So I would do the leads thing. So I would buy leads off the bat. I just to gain some traction. And then I would just go out to networking events and say, and I don't, it's kind of I don't know, a 3-ring circus because everybody's trying to pass, you know, a million cards out. I'm like, you know what, that's not my thing. And I'm somewhat of an introvert anyway. So that whole scene, I'm good one-on-one and in a small group, but I'm not good at like, my wife's amazing. And I used to take her to those events because she would like grab like handfuls of people, you know, and she's amazing. She's very genuine. She's very amazing. So she's really good at that. But for me, it was like, you know what, if I met someone, like, I'll never forget, I met the one lender that was like the first true referral source I got here. And so he was, you know, trying to meet people. I said, here's my card. Let me grab yours. Let's grab drinks. Just you and I. But you do your thing tonight, dude. I'll do my thing, but I'll just catch up with you later. So I emailed him and said, listen, drinks are on me. I want to, you know, get to know a little bit about you. I want to know about your business, and maybe things will work out. Maybe they won't, but let's get together. And so we had drinks, spent 3 hours at the bar. We had an amazing time. And that was the cat's, and I paid for the drinks. So that's where I threw some money and his food. And then, like, you know, I got a shot at a couple of deals, and then the branch manager gave me a shot, and then him and I became friends. And so, you know, the money that I spend it was all more or less just on, you know, presentations, bringing in lunch for all these realtors, or just drinks and dinner with people that were in the business. I mean, that was it. That was 100% of how I grew it.
That's cool. And it goes back to that whole thing of just building relationships, not trying to get something out of everybody.
Right. I mean, and actually, it's funny. So I have one guy. He probably sends me a deal once every other month, and I'm cool with it, you know. But him and I will go watch soccer games, you know, every month together at the pub, and we'll hang out. We don't even talk about business. He knows what I do. I don't even talk about it. I don't even care. And that to me is just, and it'll come around. And then he has a person that works within his team that just murders it and is sending me business now. So like, it'll all come around. Just, I always tell people, I'm like, be yourself. You know, if people don't like you, if you're trying to be yourself and they don't like you, then that's just, that's not someone you want to work with, you know? Like, right. You just got to be yourself. And I feel like some people get caught up in this, like, this thing where they have a certain way of being, or someone told them they have to act this way or this. I'm like, you have to be yourself. And that's the only way you're going to be successful. And people are going to see through it. If you're not yourself, people are going to see that you're fake. True.
What was the best advice that anybody gave you that just kind of changed your mindset and
just, you know, not to care, you know, don't care what other people think, you know, because I mean, my dad was an immigrant that he came from Greece with nothing. Like, he literally came off the boat and didn't know the language. He was 16 years old, and he created a life for himself, and he became extremely successful. But his big thing was he just didn't care. And he always told me, he's like, no one will ever outwork me. If I fail, it's because of me. It wasn't because I didn't work hard enough. And so that always stuck with me, you know, like even today, I mean, I still work like 50 hours a week, and it's like, I never want to be outworked. And it's not about, and I want to be the best. So I just want to be at the top of the list every week. So that's one of the big things, you know, that my dad kind of instilled in me. Is like, be the best. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you sweep floors, sell insurance, whatever, you're a teacher, you have to be the best at what you're doing. And so that just kind of stuck with me. Just simple stuff, you know, it wasn't anything that nobody's ever heard before, but it just clicked.
Out hustle them and you'll win every single time. Every single time. Well, Dimitri, Thank you so much, man. This has been awesome. Really good to have you. If anybody wants to find you, how can they find you?
So they can find me on LinkedIn. Just type in Dimitri Apostle, DimitriApostle.com, Facebook. I'll send you guys all the links as far as, you know, the exact verbiage. But yeah, they can find me all over. If they just type Dimitri Apostle Brightway, you'll find me. I'll be right there.
Perfect.
Awesome, man.
Thank you.
Cool.
Okay.
Love what you've done.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. You guys do an awesome
job. The insurance life. Thanks, dude.
Thanks, man.
Have a good one.
Right.
Have a good one.
All right. See you guys.
Hey, you've got to check out the Insurance Dudes Inner Circle coming soon, where you get extended interviews as well as live coffee talks in our private Facebook group. Join the mailing list today at theinsurancedudespodcast.com. Hey, thanks for checking out The Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.